So let's jump right into the example. So we were focusing on this area. Let's go to the output. And as you can see, I am placing two types of bokeh. I'm not gonna use them right now, but this is just to show you that the externals bokeh that you can use are gonna be placed in the bokeh inputs, both for foreground bokeh and background bokeh. So if I just load a ZOpticals again, you're gonna see you have a depth input, a foreground bokeh input, a foreground field, a background bokeh input, a background field one, which is used in here. So the background bokeh and the background field input, they work together, and the foreground bokeh and the foreground field input work together as well. Then you have the STMap input, which is meant to be used with an STMap generation tool like this one. Then you can apply lens distortions or maybe even camera shakes, so all the transformations that you want to apply to, not a camera tracker, all the transformations that you want to apply to your full CG shots can be done in here, and they are gonna have only just one filter hit inside the gizmo. And then you can select motion vectors. Here's your input, and you can connect them like so. So those are the inputs of the gizmo. High level of inputs, so 7 is quite a lot, but so we are focusing in here. And now to distinguish between the two fields, let's use a different bokeh shape for the background. So this is not optically correct, but this is just for visualization. And let's use a high value size of bokeh, so you can see the bokeh already picking up in there. And we're going to use a disk for the foreground. Let's go high in size, maybe a little bit more. This C-depth channel is not very high in value, so it's not helping me picking up a big rounded bokeh. But there is, so you can see this, the circling bokeh and the bladed one in the background field. Why I say the background field? Because again, if you go to the depth channel, you're going to see that white is close and black is far away from the camera. So I don't know if you remember the three-dimensional representation of this image is an object that has this shape, and the texture is represented by white dots. So the result of defocusing this and focusing in this area is you have the foreground field in the center of the frame now, and the background field in here. So that's basically the reason for this first tab. Then you can control, you have full control of all these parameters. Let's say you wanna use gamma correction in this field and maybe not in this field, so you can customize all this. In order to design the kernel image of these shapes, you can uncheck this and go to focal plane setup, and you're going to see the focal plane setup for each of the fields. It's usually enough to do this for one of the fields, because the other one is gonna follow automatically. So maybe you want to have a higher depth of field here, and that's all you need to for that. Or maybe you want to use the filter shape setup and you want to kind of play with that just as usual. layer setup also is the typical layer setup that you're gonna find in CD Focus. So let's say I'm happy with this. I check this again, and now I can see the result. This is a very small viewer, but in order to see everything, well, I need to fit it in this screen size. But one thing that you're gonna immediately see, and I did that on purpose, is the loss of render engine noise. So I did this very high noise level on purpose, because in the renoise tab we're gonna be seeing how we recover the render engine noise of the noise that is lost, both from transformations, motion blur, and defocusing in the 3D bokeh tab, and also a few aberrations like astigmatism. So, but back in the 3D bokeh tab, we go back to the result, and you can see how we have the foreground field. We are losing noise properties, then the noise comes back in the focus or circle of confusion area, and then we are losing render engine grain or noise again. Let's place the depth of field again to a level of 0, because what I want to show you now is the softened focal point. The softened focal point is the area or the frontier that divides the background field and the foreground field for the entire gizmo. So as you can see, you have a very sharp line here between the background field and the foreground field. So you can soften that line with this control. Sometimes you're going to find that you want to use the same value in the depth of field and the softened focal point, depending on the aesthetics of your shots. Maybe you want to go really high in here, but I usually find that a similar value to the depth of field is good, or maybe you don't want to use depth of field at all, but you're gonna want to soften this very harsh frontier between the two fields by giving this some feathering. So a value between of 1 and 3, 5 max for most of the cases I think is enough. So there is that. Then you have the typical automatic layer spacing or depth layers and layer curve. This is just by default, and everything in not only in this tab but in this gizmo is automatically updated in both fields. So if you do something here, you are doing it for both fields automatically. You don't have to worry about things not working or something like that. So yeah, that's it for this tab for now. In next tutorials we are going to be using the image kernel, external image kernel bokehs. As you can see, it expects a square image expected, so make sure that the image you are using to go into ZOpticals is a square image. So I think that's all for now, and we are going to jump to the next video. You're gonna be seeing how later all these tabs at some point begin to interact a little bit in some settings, but I'm sure that if you're interested in learning the gizmo, you're gonna understand those things very quickly. So hope to see you in the next video, and take care.